What's up guys, it's BST or Bono Sports Talk back with you guys again to bring you another list video. Now I just want to apologize ahead of time for not making a video in just about a week. I posted a comment because somebody else asked me in one of my previous videos, but I do play football and we have conditioning every single day, and because of that I just get really tired and sometimes I just don't feel like making a video. So I just want to apologize for that, and I'm finally able to get this one out. This came as a request from somebody on one of my previous videos, and he or she wanted me to do my personal opinion on the top 10 NFL QBs of all time. Now my sort of mild kind of criteria for how I picked this list is I was really looking at more of like an individual performance. So like I hold individual stats just as much as I did rings. However, I still hold rings in my listing system, but I don't hold them as high as stats. It's a little hard to explain how I did it, but let's just get into it. So I'm not going to be going too in depth into each player, simply just because most of them are not my era, so I don't actually know a lot about each individual. Like I know the basics and stuff, like with people like Otto Graham, who is on this list, like, you know, those are way before my time. So players like that I don't know too much about because, you know, I didn't grow up watching them. But let's get into number 10 here. So number 10 here we have Roger Staubach. This is probably more of like like my father's time. Like if you have any friends who are Cowboys fans and they say, oh, my dad is a Cowboys fan, so I'm a Cowboys fan, it's that era. So Roger Staubach obviously put the Cowboys on the map. He was part of that legendary Cowboys team, which made them become America's team. Obviously he got very, very good stats because his targets were great. He won a few rings down in Dallas to sort of create a dynasty with them. Overall, he was just a good player, and obviously he's got to be on this list somewhere just because he was able to take the Dallas Cowboys and really make them the notoriously famous franchise that they are now worldwide. So up next, like I said before, we have Otto Graham. Otto Graham played on the Cleveland Browns a long time ago, even before the Super Bowl was even a thing. Otto Graham obviously is a very legendary quarterback in the sense that he revolutionized the position, introducing the passing game more so. He even played with helmets without face masks, so that's just how old he was. Like I said before, I don't know too much about him in specific. I know he did win an NFL title, not an actual Super Bowl, but way before that they just had NFL titles. I know he won one of those, I believe, and I believe he also had very good stats for quarterbacks of the time just because his style was really not seen generally by quarterbacks. So he's on this list just because he revolutionized the position. Now on here, going into our next slot, we have Dan Marino. Obviously Dan Marino, you gotta have him on this list too. He was on that legendary Dolphins team as well. Similar to the Cowboys, the Dolphins had a brief period of time, well, not necessarily brief, it was a solid few seasons, but they did have a period of time when they found a lot of success. If you ask your parents, just similar to the Cowboys, where the teams were good, all of them probably going to say the Dallas Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins. Dan Marino, very good. Unfortunately, he never won a Super Bowl down in Miami. I feel like if he won a Super Bowl or two, or at least had an appearance or two, he would definitely be higher up on this list, simply just because as an individual performer, he was very, very good. Up next, we have Steve Young. Probably one of the best quarterbacks in Niners history, obviously. He served as the successor to Joe Montana, and he was able to fill the role of a quarterback in place of Joe Montana very well. Obviously, Steve Young continued to make sure that 49ers team continued to make the playoffs and was a good team. Not too much to talk about. He was just a great overall quarterback. Most of these quarterbacks are just great overall with rings and stats, so not too much to talk about. But yeah, obviously he's got to be on this list. Up next we have Johnny Unitas. Similar to Otto Graham, he sort of revolutionized the position. His style quarterback was not really seen around the NFL too much during his era, and obviously he put up very good stats. And back when they were the Baltimore Colts. This team was very good, probably one of the best teams in the NFL, the Baltimore Colts were. So definitely he's got to be on this list. Up next, we have Brett Favre. Brett Favre obviously was huge in the NFC, playing with the Packers and with the Vikings. Obviously, a lot of people will have him probably higher up than I did because his individual stats were very good. On top of that, he also won a few rings. There's just not much to explain here. The guy was just great overall. He played way late into his career. Unfortunately, his career didn't end as well as it should have, like Peyton Manning did. His performance did slope a lot, and it showed it on the stat sheet. However, during his prime, he was just an amazing quarterback, and everybody knew who he was. And he's still getting licensing deals with companies on TV today, just to show how legendary he is. Now, up next, we have John Elway, also part of that legendary Broncos team with Terrell Davis, Shannon Sharp. You get the idea. This guy was just great at the running game, the passing game. Overall, he was just such a diverse quarterback, very good leader on the field, and diverse quarterbacks like that could run were very important, because I don't believe that receivers were as good back then. And I think that since his running game was very good, that really helped improve his overall performance. And also, of course, he won a Super Bowl with the Broncos, so that is a huge deal as well. Of course, we're going into the big three now. Now, this big three is probably my most controversial and probably where I'm going to get the most dislikes. Now, everybody knows the big three. It's Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Joe Montana. Now, how those people are positioned depend on what you look at, stats, rings, both. But as of this video, I have Joe Montana at number 3. Now, the reason why I have Joe Montana below Tom Brady and even Peyton Manning is because he had 4 Super Bowl appearances and 4 wins. Obviously, that's good. You know, he never even threw a pick in the Super Bowl. However, Tom Brady actually went to the Super Bowl 6 times and won 4 of them. And I believe that even though he lost 2 of his Super Bowl appearances, I believe that just proves that he was way better in the playoffs. And obviously, while we're still on Joe Montana, obviously, great quarterback, winning 4 NFL titles, winning the Super Bowl, and obviously just being a great overall player on the 49ers. I have a picture of him on the Chiefs here, but just because I couldn't find a good picture of him on the Niners that was high resolution enough, but his name was really made with the Niners, and obviously he's just a legendary quarterback. I could absolutely perfectly understand if somebody were to say Joe Montana is the best quarterback of all time. Totally understandable. Up next, like I said before, we have Tom Brady. This guy is amazing in the playoffs. This guy, every single year, they get into the AFC Finals. It's all the time they get to the AFC Finals. You know, one of the big names in the NFL, probably one of the most famous athletes in the whole world, just behind people like Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, Derek Jeter, and then you have Tom Brady, like Michael Jordan. He's up there with all those big names. Just the guy is great in the playoffs. You know, his stats aren't that amazing. Honestly, he hasn't done too crazy stats wise. I think he's only led the NFL once in passing yards or whatnot. But his postseason performance has brought the team so many rings and so many opportunities to get rings. You cannot deny the fact that this guy is absolutely one of the best quarterbacks of all time, if not the best quarterback of all time. Because even though he gets a lot of hate, at the end of the day, he was undrafted. Well, not undrafted, actually. That's actually wrong. He was not undrafted. He was drafted super late. Nobody saw him do this good, and obviously it's just insane, because at the end of the day, you want a quarterback to bring you rings. You want a quarterback to come in, take your shitty franchise, and bring rings to them. And that's exactly what he did. So he continued there. You know, after Doug Flutie, there comes Tom Brady, and he just took that team up to his wing, and the success continued for them. In my number 1 spot, a lot of people are probably going to disagree with me on this one, but it's Peyton Manning. And the reason why I got Peyton Manning overall everybody else is not because of the Super Bowl titles. Actually, if you look at his stats in the Super Bowl, actually pretty poor, because his first Super Bowl he did pretty good in. You know, obviously that was a win for him in the Colts. His second Super Bowl, he ended up throwing the game-losing pick 6. In his third Super Bowl, the Broncos got blown out. And in his 4th Super Bowl, which was the recent one in 2015, even though they won that one, he didn't really contribute to that. But that's besides the point. This guy holds the stats in pretty much every single category for quarterbacks, obviously except for the run game. He just has all. He's just got all the records. You already know what they are, because I'm pretty sure you've heard everybody say them. And you know, I'm a little butthurt because you know he did beat Drew Brees' record by 1 yard, but that's besides the point. This guy is a legend. He destroyed everybody else's records, destroyed Joe Montana's records, destroyed Brett Favre's records. If you look at all the past leaders, it's Peyton Manning's up there, and on top of it, he's got 2 rings and 4 appearances, and he was able to make the Colts and the Broncos good teams. And if you just change the quarterback like that and make the team playoff contenders consistently, then you know the guy is just great. However, just overall, over these 3 guys, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, these guys could easily be switched around, and you can make a very valid case for all of them to be the best quarterback of all time. So if you think Tom Brady is the best quarterback of all time, I could totally understand, and vice versa, Peyton Manning and Joe Montana. But these are my picks here for the top 10. I'll go back and we can preview them all once again. So we go number 10, Roger Staubach. Number 9, Otto Graham. Number 8, Dan Marino. Number 7, Steve Young. Number 6, Johnny Unitas. Number 5, Brett Favre. Number 4, John Elway. Number 3, Joe Montana. Number 2, Tom Brady, and number 1, Peyton Manning. So I appreciate you guys watching this video. Like I said before in the beginning, I'm sorry for the lack of videos coming out. I'm probably going to push out another one talking about the Bruins, and I know I got another request talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers schedule, my predictions like that, like I did for my Saints video. Those ones are kind of hard to do because you have to like edit each individual slide, and they could take a few hours to do, and because I just don't have that much time to do in my free day. But I will try and get across to those videos. I'm probably going to push out 1 or 2 videos today. But like I said before, I appreciate you guys watching. I'm starting to grow a lot, like especially on my NFL season prediction video. I get a lot of comments. You know, a lot of people, you know, disagreeing with my predictions, but that's all fine because as long as people, you know, respectful in the comments, I have no problem with people, you know, conflicting my predictions. Because I got a problem with everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But I want to thank you guys for watching. You know, leave me suggestions down in the comments. Anything you want me to do, hockey related or football related, because you know those are the 2 main things I cover. I might actually make a video about the Cavs winning the title, because that's just kind of, I don't think anybody saw that coming. But yeah, I mean, if you disagree with my picks, feel free to leave something down in the comments. Just explain why. I like to read those comments. I mean, it's just, you know, I feel good like I read the comments and I see that I have a community starting to grow on my channel. And you know, I'm into sports, and to be able to communicate with other people that like sports as well, you know, it's a great experience for all of us. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.